Welcome to 24 Days of Cloud, bite-sized tips every day to help you on your journey to adopt the cloud securely, safely and quickly. So now we know our principles. We understand multi-availability zone, multi-region. You may be asking, well, which one's best? How do I deploy the best architecture? The simple answer is there is no best. It always depends upon the particular use case. So let's take a couple of examples. Let's first start with a lending API used by a financial institution. We've got some requirements around the recovery point objective, the recovery time objective. We also understand there are some regulatory requirements. So let's address the hard ones first. Regulatory requirements insist that this data cannot leave the country in which it was created. So we choose to deploy in a single region because the boundaries of that ensure that data are not replicated outside. But how do we ensure it's still highly available? Well, we use a multi-availability zone architecture. We deploy active, and we round robin across every single instance. There isn't any communication with nodes, data doesn't have to be replicated, so this is a pretty straightforward deployment. We also utilize an N+X deployment capacity to ensure that even with the loss of a single facility or an availability zone, we don't have an interruption to our total capacity, and we'll talk about that in more detail tomorrow. Our second example, a factory uses timesheets to record the workers and it is used to help pay them. Now this data cannot be recreated, so we need to ensure that data is persisted for as much resiliency as possible. So how do we achieve that? Well, we choose to use Microsoft Cosmos DB, which allows you to have different levels of write persistence, whether to a single node, to multiple nodes within the same region, or even to multiple regions. By taking this approach, especially where there isn't a regulator scoping data to a single country, we can have incredible levels of resilience. Now, while this does come with a small latency trade-off, in a system that's used by humans, touching in and touching out, actually that latency adjustment makes no difference, unlike the latency expectations of a single millisecond API. So these are just a couple of examples, but it helps prime and understand that while there is no best architecture, we do find these patterns, we do find these approaches that we can use in our own architectures. We'll cover in more detail N+X deployments tomorrow. So thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you tomorrow.